Welcome to the Mystic Millionaire podcast, where wealth is energy, success is a mindset, and abundance is your birthright. I am Danielle Amos, your host and mentor, here to help you unlock prosperity, embody confidence, and manifest a life you love. Take a breath, align with your truth, and let's manifest millions. Welcome to the Mystic Millionaire podcast. My name is Danielle Amos, and today I have a very special guest. Her name is Precious Azuree. And Precious, she is a clarity coach. She's sought out by entrepreneurs, small business owners, and nonprofits seeking strategy, systems, and leadership development. Through her consulting firm, the Clarity Coach Enterprises, she empowers clients to turn vision into action, backed by an applied generative AI specialization and credentials as a John Maxwell leadership trainer. Precious fuses coaching, research, and emerging tech to develop high-capacity leaders and mission-driven organizations. So Precious came on, and in this episode, we talk about her book, The Faith Focus Formula, and she goes into detail about what that is. She's got a huge, very magnetic personality, and you're going to find that in the behind the scenes episode, we get into money, and we talk about her journey with money and paradigms about money. And she goes into how she's transitioned over the years and what she's developing now in AI and where she's excited to go with that. So I want to thank Precious for being on the show, and to all of you for listening. Be sure to follow her on social media and share with her your ahas and the tips that you receive from her. Thank you for being here. Welcome to the Mystic Millionaire podcast, Precious. I'm so grateful to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
So we were just talking on the behind the scenes episode all about money, and you shared some personal stories there. So we'll leave that to our subscribers. But I saw on your Instagram that you asked people to reflect on a really important question, but where they've been holding themselves back. So tell me more, why that question, and how did you answer that for yourself?
Yeah, typically when I pose questions to my audience, either it was a personal revelation or it was like within a conversation I was having with someone else. And this particular one was in a personal revelation. And I had to realize that, we all go through different seasons, right? We have that season where things are constant, we're on the up and up, and then we have a season of pause and reflect and redefining. And so for me, the past 7 years, I had been leading my nonprofit that I co-founded with some other co-founders as the vice president, leading the team, growing the organization. And God was like, yeah, this chapter is up. And I said, okay. And so I made that decision in December. And so this year, I have been very focused on finding the solution of what's next. So I'm trying out different things, figuring out what customers I wanted to focus on, just a lot of trial and error. And then I had to ask myself, I'm like, what is God teaching me in this season? Like, what am I projecting that's holding me back from what I'm truly seeking? And everyone at the end of the day is seeking peace, freedom, more joy. And I was like, I'm trying to force an agenda, and I haven't paused enough to just receive what he wants me to receive. And so what was holding me back was myself.
Of course.
Holding myself back because I was trying to create something versus just being patient and allowing it to come to me. And once I did that, things started to flow more on that path of non-resistance. And it was still idea. I'm still going to get to where I want to get to. It's just not the way that I wanted to get there. Yeah. So
I feel like it's never the way.
It's never the way where I'm like, oh, you want me to do a slow build? Oh, you want me to really build sustainably this time? Okay. So my infrastructure has to be set up a little bit different in order for this to scale the way I want it to scale. So, okay, got it. So I think as entrepreneurs, you tend to move more agile. And let's see what we can get done, maximize time, let's do this. And now, and for my project management people, the waterfall approach, where one thing has to happen before the next thing has to happen.
Okay.
And it's sometimes tough to be like, I have to stay in this phase until this next phase. I can't dibble over here. It's no. So that's a question I had to ask myself of like, what's really holding me back here? And there was control. I
Mm.
had to release control.
There's so much power in that pause, isn't there? And you said that you alluded to being a very fast entrepreneur in previous seasons of your
Yeah.
life. And I'm sure a lot of listeners can relate to that,
Yeah.
where we're like, go. And it kind of goes back to something that we were talking about in the behind the scenes episode around like feeling like you have to.
Hmm.
So as an entrepreneur, for me, I remember, well, and I get caught in this, to be honest, from time
Yeah.
to time where I find myself in hustle mode because I feel like it's what I'm supposed to be doing,
Mm.
not what I really desire to be
Yeah.
doing. And in that period of time, it's very challenging to hear God's message.
Yeah.
It's very challenging because there's no pause, and
Mhm.
it is in the pause that we get the wisdom, that we
Yeah.
receive the guidance. And it's uncomfortable
Talk about
to
it.
pause because I think a lot of us get so much value out of the hustle as well, and
Yeah.
especially when it relates to money. So when money can come in and you haven't done enough for it,
Hmm.
really money comes from alignment and who
Hmm.
you're being.
Yeah.
So when you're being that truth in your highest self and
Yeah.
in love, in integrity with that, the money flows. You don't have to do a lot for it.
Yeah.
Of course, we do have service, but the service can be who we're being, right, to
Yeah.
the world. And I find myself almost like guilty going back to hustle to like prove I deserve it.
Hmm.
And my
Hmm.
clients definitely
That's
do
good.
that too. So in the pause, as I've noticed also on your Instagram, you talk about that pause as well. How have you made that easier for yourself, or how have you brought that into your team? You mentioned the waterfall approach. Is there
Yeah.
anything else that you and your team do?
Yeah. So personally, I decided to romanticize my spiritual practices.
Okay.
So I have a beautiful prayer closet, has comfy blankets and pillows and candles, and I have a board. Like for me, I have to like sensual. I want to touch, I want to feel, I want to experience and fully immerse myself into my time with God. So that's one thing that I did.
So it's like an actual closet?
It's an actual closet.
Okay.
Mind you, I moved into my new place right before my birthday in May, and end of winter, February was when I was looking. I've had an apartment locator. We looked at 3 properties. This was the third one, and it's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. And then I look in the bedroom, it has this like other smaller closet. And I was like, this is going to be my prayer closet. This is like perfect. I have my walk-in closet for my wardrobe, got a whole other side of the house for office and all the other things. I'm like, the fact that I have 3 closets, this is a lie. Yes, let me sign, look and see, give me whatever promos you guys got. So needless to say, I was really excited about really creating space for me to connect. Now, before I had a beautiful prayer closet, I would be in the bathroom. You know, I had seasons where I was sleeping on someone's couch and, living out of my suitcase, traveling. I still found that time, but it's just like now with the wisdom I have, the resources I have, I can really decide how I want to experience. And so, I was super intentional about how I wanted to spend that time. So that's one thing.
That's beautiful. It sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
I want to see a picture.
And then secondly, I started to incorporate more fasting. Of course, there's a lot of health benefits to fasting, but just being more intentional of like, I just need to kill my flesh and whatever my flesh is desiring and get in alignment, God, with what you have. So that's something I do at least once a month for 3 days.
Oh, wow.
And so that has also helped me continue to stay in an alignment. And then two, community is really important in that pause and knowing like what voices am I listening to and like who am I giving authority. So I would say those are 3 things that I have adopted in the pause and just doing things that I don't have to like just be mindless about. So it's funny because I love to learn for fun.
Yeah.
Say. I love to learn for fun. So I have this app where it's like brain games, like memorizing words or math or different things, but they gamify it and they have all these cool sounds. And so I'll just play on my little brain app or I will take a walk. Like I don't think about being productive in that pause. or even fully, I'm being intentional about what I want to experience, but not also trying to control the outcome of it either.
Mhm.
So it's that weird paradox of it all. Of most people, when I say intentional, people think that, oh, you're rigid and you just want to do this. And it's like, no, I'm being intentional about what I'm seeking to get out of this experience. What that ends up becoming is up to God, but it doesn't mean I'm not flexible. But
Mhm.
unfortunately, for people that do have intentional lives, they are so seen as like being super structured. And that, am I those things? Yes. So I'm not going to deny, like, I
Mhm.
am those things, but within the intentionality, I'm open to receiving what God has for me.
I believe that the intention is what allows us to surrender
Yeah, that's good.
because I see it as like a masculine structure, like an intent, setting an intention is very masculine.
Mhm.
And then that surrender is that feminine energy. But it's challenging to surrender if we don't feel safe. And that safety can come from
Good.
lots of places,
Yeah.
faith, understanding. Sometimes it is like the structure in a calendar, but
Yeah.
I find that when I'm intentional, I know that I've done my part,
Exactly. Yeah.
and then I release, let go, and surrender and leave the rest.
Yeah. It's powerful.
Yeah. And I think that there's a huge missed opportunity for most people. And if being intentional is kind of like visualization, it's like so easy to do. It's so easy not to do. Like it
Mhm.
literally takes a minute, 30 seconds to
Yeah.
set an intention
Yeah.
and get yourself into an energy. And for me, I like future cast. So
Mhm.
how would I like to feel after this podcast with Precious today,
Yes.
and then leave it at that and know that from there, everything else is, yeah.
I like that you said,
Happen.
you future cast and say, how would I like to feel? I recognize that I haven't had a vast vocabulary for my feelings. I recently purchased a feelings wheel
Oh, okay.
so that I could look at all the different types of emotions, the different types of happiness, different types of anger, different types of sadness. And sometimes we don't always have the language to like actually call out and identify how we feel. So even our relationship with our feelings is a thing. And vulnerability has been something I've been growing through personally. But to your point, identifying the feeling, I think, is super powerful.
Yeah, well, it's funny when you ask people like feeling words, they'll say like happy, sad, mad, angry.
I'm angry
It's
right
like,
now.
yeah.
And I remember I was on the phone with my boyfriend and we were talking about something and he could like see on my face and he's like, "Why are you frustrated?" I was like, "I'm not frustrated." And I pull out the feelings well. I was like, "I'm actually annoyed." And then I look and it's tied to frustration. You know me better than me. How is that? But
And what's the distinction, like, if we really think about it, between annoyed and frustration? Like, what is the difference in our
mm,
body? And
yeah.
then the root for me, I would even go further. It's like, what's the thought that's
Mhm.
creating that feeling?
Mhm.
And like, is that absolutely true? And what would have me more frustrated or more annoyed? Like, so that I could really
Understand the
understand the feeling.
difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, knowing where the feelings show up in your body is also important to
Mm-hmm.
recognize too.
Mm-hmm.
Cause when you said frustration in my gut, I was like, But then when I said, oh, I'm annoyed, that was more of like a logical thing of like, that's that feeling. And he's like, but in your gut, you were really frustrated.
Do you know what human design you are?
I don't.
Okay. Frustration is, I'm a generator. And so when I feel frustration, it's a
Mhm.
sign that I'm outside of my design.
Mm.
So I
Oh,
asked.
I'm gonna have to look into that.
Yeah. If you know your birth date, time, and time is the most important,
Okay.
like specific minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
It's
think I
interesting.
did the life path test a while back. I can't remember if I was a 3 or a 4. I can't remember.
Yeah.
It's one
It's
of
an
those.
interesting thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't use it a lot with clients, but I do have clients that are human design
Mhm.
experts. And so it comes into our world from time to time. Amazing. So tell me more about your book
Yes.
and the principles that you share in that. And I made a few notes. So you've got the faith focus formula.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That was the hardest thing ever had to give birth to.
The book?
Yes.
Okay. Why? Tell me.
Because I like to have conversations. I like to create video content. I like to talk. And I'm like, they have to experience me without me being there. So that was the first thing. And then the fact that I wanted the book to connect to anyone within their journey. It was a lot of going deep and coming back up, going deep and coming back up, and just making sure that it was practical enough for anyone wherever they were in their journey, they could pick it up and apply the things that I'm talking about. And so with that, while still doing all the other things and blocking out time, I had to like go have a cabin weekend to just like get away from them. I'm like, I'm gonna finish this book. And so, yeah, it was a year, which some people have taken longer time to write a book. And this was pre-Chat GPT, OpenAI. Like, it was towards the cusp at the end when I was trying to get my marketing and stuff together. But I'm like, wow, I did this. And I also did the audiobook too. So that was fun because that allowed me to bring out my personality a little bit more.
And did you write the whole thing? Did you transcribe?
I wrote the whole thing.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there were different methods. Once I applied the method that every chapter was like a blog post, that shifted my brain because at first I was trying to write it in order. And I was like, let me just take it principle by principle, and then I can arrange it the way I want to. And so that book, I started to write that book. It was a pause moment. It was a friend's bachelorette weekend, and I was catching the flight to meet them in Mexico. And the night before, I realized my passport's expired.
Oh.
I'm like, oops, this is a joke.
Yes.
This has to be a joke. So I'm trying to like change my flight, get a passport appointment. They're like, oh, we can get you in 2 weeks. I'm like, no, I need to like. So I spend 2 days and like $400 later of trying to pay someone to get me an appointment, change my flight. So I'm like, okay, God, I'm here. What's up? And I just took the time to disconnect from the world, and I was in prayer, and it just dropped in my spirit. What dropped in my spirit first was an audiobook was the first thing that dropped in my spirit. And then after reading the requirements, I'm like, oh, I have to have an actual book as well. So I said, okay, you want to write this book about what? And I was thinking about a lot of the interactions and things I was having with people. And at this time in my career, my hourly rate was not for the novice entrepreneur that's trying to get started or even the professional that's like curious about entrepreneurship. And so I was like, you know what? I do need to package something to give to the world to where even if you can't have my time, you can at least have my wisdom and resources in order to make change now. Mm-hmm. And so I'm leaning into entrepreneurship because in the book, I say entrepreneurship's not an option. Like the cost of living is going to always increase. So your income has to do the same. But to your point, everything that we do goes back to our beliefs, goes back to the paradigms that we have. And so the faith-focused formula, it helps you ensure that your faith, your vision, your finances align with your time. Because at the end of the day, time is the fixed resource. So you have to ask yourself, okay, from a faith perspective, what are my beliefs about God? What are my beliefs about myself? And then what are my beliefs about people? Because that's the foundation of how we move into the world. Like if you feel like people are always, two-faced or out to get you and you can't trust them, well,
that'll be your truth.
That'll be your truth.
Yeah.
If you believe that, you're not worthy or that people don't really enjoy you or think you're pretty, well, then that's the reality that's showing up. And if you don't think God is going to comfort you and protect you and guide you and give you a purpose, how can you really even think about having a true future that's worth being fulfilled? So
what's so interesting about that is most people don't understand that they can actually choose their beliefs. Like a belief is just a thought you keep thinking.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, they believe that their belief is set. Like it's like what I believe.
Yeah.
And maybe don't not even really understand what they believe. So I love that question.
And I think it's having the power of choice.
Yeah.
Sometimes we were just told what to do.
Totally.
And didn't exercise that power of choice. I do appreciate my mom. She had us, like we were very independent kids, and she allowed us to do whatever we desired. I wanted to try this, try that. And so we were independent at a young age, which is bittersweet, but I'll take the good that came from that. But yeah, I say like, your faith is the belief system that shapes the story of your reality. So that's what that boils down to. And then that feeds into the vision that you have for yourself, which one of my favorite exercises I have is make your statement. Like vision boards, love them. We have to visualize. I mean, I have it on my phone. I have it different places. But then to also have a statement that like anchors your decision making, because the average person makes 35,000 decisions a day. So if you're above average, which many of your listeners probably are,
absolutely,
they probably make double the amount of decisions. If you're a parent, got a business, like, so just think about all the decisions that we're making, and most of them are based on our subconscious mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to continuously reassess what belief is showing up in my life right now. Like, what's the story that I'm telling myself that's allowing this reality to be here? So the make your statement, that's my anchor. And so that's my personal legacy vision statement. So mine is Bob Proctor. I'm so happy and grateful that I'm a global leader. I'm a style icon. I'm a respected businesswoman. I'm a passionate wife. I'm a proud mother, and that I'm a master communicator, and I'm the epitome of God's grace and love.
Mm-hmm. Amazing.
So that's my decision-making anchor.
So you mentioned Bob Proctor.
Yes.
When did you get that from? Did you know that I'm his protege? I don't know if you saw that in my bio.
I did,
Okay.
of course. So when you brought it up
amazing.
earlier, I
Yeah,
was just
yeah.
like,
Okay.
yes.
So that's so great.
So this was probably when I was 24.
Okay.
I'm 34 now.
Okay.
So about 10 years ago was when I was introduced to Bob Proctor. I went to this event in, I think this was,
LA? No.
I hadn't got to see him live, but there was an event until maybe 2021, but I think that was the year he passed. Was that 2021? 2019?
No, it was after that.
It was
Could be
after that?
2021.
2021
2022.
too. I remember us celebrating his birthday
Yeah.
at the event.
Okay, yeah.
And it would being a thing of
Yeah.
like, let's pay homage and honor to him.
Amazing.
But Bob Proctor, I mean, he's a legend. I recently connected with, at that event specifically, I connected with Kyle Wilson, who worked directly with Jim Rohn.
Yeah. Fun.
And so, I mean, they're the OGs with
Yeah.
all of this.
So your statement is in that same format that
Yes.
we use. Yeah. I'm so
Yeah.
happy and grateful. So that's great. And so then it sounds like it's a goal statement, but also it involves your self-image, like who you're being, because
Correct.
you talk about the different areas of your life. So who you are as a wife.
Yeah. So
There's-
how I break it down in the book is that, how do you want people to describe you when you're not in the room?
Mm-hmm.
What are those adjectives? Then what roles do you want to carry? Some people may not want to be a wife. Some people may want to be a philanthropist, or I want to just be a great aunt or uncle or father or whatever that is. Identify the roles you want to carry. And I say not titles, because titles can be an ego.
Yeah.
But the roles and responsibility that you want to have. And then the impact of industries that you want to have impact or respect in. So think about those pockets. And then, of course, it took me a couple months to put it all together in a sentence.
Yeah. And
But-
did you write out like a long format
Yeah.
and then
And
still
then,
down?
yeah.
That's what I coach.
So like fashion, for example, I
Mhm.
went to school for fashion and business. I went to design school. I know how to sew. I studied abroad. That was a big part of my early career in figuring out what my career would look like. And I used to say like, oh, I want this skyscraper building. I want to have my own fashion brand. And the more I understood business, the more I understood money, the more I understood time. So I actually don't want that. I don't want to have to do all of that.
And isn't it funny sometimes our wants, or we think, again, it's like a program, like it's not even our desire.
Yeah.
Like it's like
Yeah.
what you thought probably you were supposed to desire.
Yeah.
because
It's just
of
like,
where
well,
went
you're
to school.
stylish and you're so good at it and
Yeah.
this and that. I'm like, I could do this. This does sound good. And then and I talk a lot about knowing your values. As my values for money, time, and all those things evolved, I was like, the world will be my runway. I'll be a style icon in my own right. When I think about business, I say I want to be, or I am a respected businesswoman, because I know there's going to be multiple businesses I may want to be a part of. So at the end of the day, whatever that is, I want to be respected in it. And ironically enough, my high school senior Letterman jacket, it said well respected on the back of it. So it's something that it's been in me, and I named it and was like, in business, I want to be respected.
Yeah.
And so, so you just kind of look at those different roles, and I wordsmith and was playing around. And I mean, my favorite part is the end, is that at the end of the day, I want to be the epitome of God's grace and love.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm making decisions about things, is it in alignment with this statement of the woman that I'm constantly becoming? And if it's not going to help with that, then it may not be in alignment.
Yeah.
And so those words help me anchor my decisions.
It makes it very easy. It's like an obvious yes or no
Yeah.
throughout the day. And is this statement something you carry with you on a card, or is it?
So it's written down in my
Yeah.
prayer closet.
Very
It's
good.
written down in my brain. I have it in my office. So, it's good to make things visible. So it's easy to forget.
Yeah.
So easy to forget.
The repetition's really key, isn't
Mhm,
it?
mhm.
Like having that somewhere that you're reminded.
Yeah.
And because to your point, we make so many decisions
Mm.
every single day. It's like,
Yeah.
how can I bring this top of mind?
Yeah.
And then it becomes like who you're being. So
Yeah.
it becomes top of mind. But I think in the beginning, it's
Yeah.
not natural maybe for you to be making decisions from that place.
Right.
Yeah.
And so even me saying like, "Oh, I want to be a proud wife."
Mhm.
Like, what does that truly mean? That means I want someone that I can be proud of,
Yeah.
where they're actually making impact into the world and wanting to serve people, and me being a passionate mother. What does that look like? I want to be attentive. I want to be present. So in the book, I like break down different exercises where it's like, okay, if this is that adjective of being passionate, who benefits from me being a passionate mother?
Mm.
My kids, my husband, his
Mm.
school teachers, his community, because I'm passionate about how I take care of my kids.
That's really cool,
And
actually.
so I love
I haven't
exercise.
thought about it that way.
Yeah.
I think also defining like for what passionate looks like for you
Mhm.
is really important, and noticing who else you consider to be passionate so that you
Yeah.
have like role models that you
Yeah.
can emulate and not copy, but
Right.
notice like what does it mean for me
Me.
to look like that?
Yeah.
But I love the question of like who
Who benefits?
benefits from that.
Who benefits
Yeah.
from you showing up as this person?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's that. And for me, it's like once you identify and get connected to that feeling, then it's like, okay, how can I show up as this today?
Yeah. Every single moment. Yeah. Love it.
I would say I am who I'm becoming.
Yeah. That's good. A big part of my work is in the identity shifting. So,
Yeah.
like noticing that difference of who you are becoming to achieve the goals versus who you naturally like wake up as. And
Mhm.
then what can you do to get into the character
Yeah.
of that future self now? And
Yeah.
then what are those anchors throughout
Yeah.
your day to remind you? So, I have clients who put reminders on their phone or wear
I have
something.
that too.
Yeah. I think it's important. I mean, yeah, again, it's a very conscious work, right? So we're constantly evolving and being our best version.
Yes.
Love it. What is one thing that you do throughout the day? Like if you find yourself slipping back into an older version of you or a way or something that maybe you reacted to a situation that you're not so proud of? Is there something
Yeah.
that you do to bring yourself back?
So I've been introducing just breathing,
Okay. Yeah.
even to get in a space to like meditate. It's like you got to pause and feel your breath.
Yeah.
So breathing has been super helpful of just let me pause and breathe. Funny enough, drinking water,
I did.
drinking water, like our brains need to be hydrated.
Mhm.
And sometimes if it's a mental overwhelm or even if it's an emotional thing, it's like, it's the simple things. Breathing and staying and drinking water and just being okay with stepping away. Because I've had times where I'm like, oh, I have this amount of time. I can still try to get this. I want to show up as my best self. And right now I'm not that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to walk away.
Yeah, I love that. Actually, again, it goes back to the pause, funny enough.
Yeah.
Yesterday I was with a corporate client and there were a lot of people and I'm quite introverted. So really manage my energy and I could feel myself like kind of glazing over and giving a reaction or response to someone that like I wasn't from my best self, just like a
Mm.
short, not so interested in them, more thinking
Yeah.
about myself. And so in that moment, I left the room and took a pause, but not like it and excused myself, going to the washroom. And I jump up and down to like raise my vibration and go back in the room. But I believe that there's so many very simple things that we can be doing.
Hmm.
And that pause
Yeah.
allows it. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's good. Really good. Okay, well, let's pause for a moment. I'm going to
Yes.
look at my sheet and get a few more questions for you. The faith focus formula. Do you want to tell me what that is?
Yeah. So the faith focused formula, give me a little history behind the title.
Mm.
So when I believe I was asked to, oh, I remember. So this was during the pandemic. And pre pandemic, I had already made the decision of, so let me back up even more. I said I started off in fashion and business. During that time, I started my own blog. It was just a personal blog. So I taught myself web design, graphic design, and I would post on social. But then it got to the point to where people were like, can you do what you do for you for me?
Okay.
And I was like, sure, let me get your invoice. Make that happen.
Yeah.
So end up having my own brand management agency. And I did that for a few years. Veered into talent management a little bit, realized that was not my calling.
Okay.
And then sat with myself. I was like, you know what? The pattern of all my different projects, clients I've worked with was developing the people. It was developing that leader to be a CEO. It was
Cool.
bringing the team together and helping them accomplish a goal. Am I great at branding and marketing? Yes. But it was more of like knowing how to mobilize the people to accomplish something. And then helping that visionary really get the right systems and people in place in order for them to execute what they wanted. So that was the theme. And so 2019, I said, I'm going to pivot to just personal and business development. Branding's great, and branding's a part of business development, but that's when I made that shift. So in that shift, I said, okay, I'm going to, there's a lot of mindset tied to that. And it's like, I'm going to do my first webinar. This is pre-pandemic, and then the pandemic comes. I'm like, well, I guess this is my time to show up and add value to the people. And I was like, I know people have a lot of decision fatigue or they're distracted. How can I help them not be distracted? So I came up with this faith-focused formula. And when I tell you, it had like 6 components. And I can't tell you what all the things I had added up. It was this plus this divided by this. And I was just like, this is not marketable at all.
Well,
But
especially if you can't remember it.
but all the principles were like so good.
Yeah.
And so in the process of writing my book, I adopted a lot of those principles. And I was like, I know people are going to be looking for a formula, like a math formula. But the formula is more so the components that I talk about rather than an actual formula.
Yeah.
So when I named it the Faith Focused Formula, it was just to pay homage to the journey of even how I got to writing the book. But the core elements of the Faith Focused Formula is that in order for you to align your faith, vision, and finances with your time, you have to focus on your faith first. Like that's where it all starts. You could meet with a financial coach and get a budget together. You could read all the productivity books and do the Pomodoro method and time block. You can do all those things. You can dream all day. But you need to focus on your faith first and identify what is that story that you're telling yourself and what beliefs make up that story. So that's essentially how it all comes together. But I like to tell the story because everyone's like, tell me the formula, tell me the formula.
Yeah.
Like the formula is your faith. Okay, I know it's simple. The faith and the focus, that's the formula.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's good. I think faith for a lot of people is they're not always sure, are they? Like, again, it's one of those things that have been programmed into them and they believe what their parents believe.
Yeah.
And then there comes a time when you start to ask questions. Is this really what I want to believe? And is this serving me or not?
Yeah.
And am I blindly believing something? Or is there a way that I can have faith through understanding? And you said something earlier about loving learning. And for me, I love knowledge. I love reading and going to and really diving deep into knowledge so that I can apply it. And then through that application, that's what builds my faith. So like taking principles or taking ideas, whether it's like from a book or one like the Bible, and like applying that and then notice what happens to my life. And then that's what builds my faith through that understanding. So it's not blind.
You have to do the work.
Yeah,
And when I say the work, it's more of like, you have to understand it for yourself.
totally. Yeah.
You just can't. I had a client the other day and there's a lot of things on her timeline and she was just distraught in her belief and not knowing. I was like, well, I think this is a sign that it's time for you to develop your own understanding. And she's like, maybe that is what I need to do. So yeah. And I think it's a permission slip. We have to constantly give each other permission slips to say, you have a choice to do this thing. And so seeking the knowledge and understanding and then allowing the spirit to guide you and say what's for you is a big part of it, and like cultivating your faith. And it starts with a lot of personal self-reflection. And who wants to look in the mirror? No one wants to look.
Yeah, it's hard.
Let's like it. That's me.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
I've done. You know.
And then take the responsibility of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can say I've recently truly, like, when it comes to forgiveness, right? A lot of us struggle with forgiveness or wanting things to be a different way or wanting that apology and so that's been something that it's been in the back of my mind of knowing like, I feel like there's still some things I need to unforgive. But that also created space for belief and desire to like just get stronger with God and being able to deepen that relationship. But because there's no good can come from unforgiveness.
Yeah. Forgiveness is a funny one.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people believe that forgiveness, if I forgive the other person, it's like I'm okay with what they did.
Yeah.
Or I
That's not what
condone the action.
Yeah.
It's not that. And it's not for the other person.
No,
It's for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I often get asked the question, so, well, how many times do I have to forgive that? Forever.
Right. 77.
Yeah.
77 times.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's challenging. And that's the work.
Yeah.
Again, it's like, how can I forgive? And what does it really mean to forgive? It means like let go completely.
Mm-hmm.
Don't bring it up again.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. And I had realized, I'm like, yep, I must haven't fully forgave yet. Get back.
Yeah.
Let me sit with this. But yeah, and it's giving ourselves grace through it all.
Totally.
I think even within this generation, we're just experiencing a lot of firsts. Some of us are like the first to be actually self-aware, the first to actually go to college, the first to start a business. And it's just like
The first with money. I'm like,
great
that,
plan.
let's
Great
talk about
plan.
that a little bit. Like that for me and my family, that was one of the things that I desired, was to change my family's money story.
Yeah.
And it felt really important to do that.
Yeah.
And so many, again, it's a programming, how we grew up, understanding money. And it takes great courage to break the cycle.
Mhm.
And it takes great courage to break any cycle,
Yeah.
But what we're seeing right now is that, especially for women, the most amount of wealth transfer is happening right now in the next few years. Some say
Yeah.
like 3 years, others say 10. I think it's going to happen a lot faster.
For sure.
And we're seeing women, for the first time in history, are becoming faster millionaires than men.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just going to continue to grow.
Yeah.
And the way that we do things is very differently, as we give up some of the masculine structures that will fall apart over the next few years.
Yes, ma'am.
And the women's, I want to say, like, intuition or feminine way will rise. I think there's a really great need for support for women in how we are breaking the cycles and how we are being the first, whether that's the first to go to college, to your point, or the first about money. What would you say to that as someone who is on that path, if they are the first, maybe the first in their friends, first in their family?
Yeah.
Because it's not easy, because the other people around them aren't going to get it.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought up the other people, because my first thought was, and it's been a constant prayer for me in this season, is God, remove those that are not in line with your will and like bring the people that you want me to grow into this next season with.
That's hard.
Yeah, I know.
That's really hard.
It's very hard.
Yeah.
And so,
because like you love those people and we want them to come with us. But it's not our responsibility.
It is not. And I know sometimes we don't get it right in dating, but in friendships and business, we need to read the room. We need to read the red flags and call it red and trust that there's this tension or this isn't aligning for a reason, and be okay with that. Because the little graphic where they have the guy that's like chopping for the diamond and then he stops, or the one when they're like hiding a big teddy bear and like they have the small one and you don't want to give up that thing. It's a similar thing. It's like, unfortunately, there's so much pruning that happens when you're choosing to be, when you're making when you're having that courage to do that thing that no one has done before, or that you personally haven't done before. And so it's leaning into it and knowing like, I'm protected. if I feel strongly about the direction I'm going, there's no way that the resources will not be provided. And those resources, including people, because it's the voices, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like we can be
Huge
strong by
impact.
ourselves, but
Yeah.
then once we get into execution, it's just like, community is big, is important for us. And unfortunately, it's super hard to build true community. When I say true, meaning genuine. And of course, we want to be able there to be this natural thing of reciprocity, but also having the discernment of knowing, like who's truly in alignment with where you're going. And so I was on a call yesterday and a woman was wanting advice about like knowing how to choose who she partners and collaborates with. And it's important for your values to be in alignment. Literally, and I just want to share this as a testimony. Since I said that's been my prayer, I have a brand photographer that I've been working with over the years, and he sent out an email and was like, hey, it's the fall. I want to get back to my clients. Come get a 10-minute headshot. I was like, the headshots you just gave me are fine. But something in my spirit was like, no, just go spend this time with them, catch up. Get your headshot and catch up with him. So I do that. And he's talking, it's me, him, and one of his other previous clients. And she didn't come there for a headshot. She came to just talk to him. So now we're talking, having this conversation about some of the challenges we're having in our business. And I think I met her once, maybe a year ago. And we're like, you know what? Let's meet up for lunch and have a working session, figure out how we can support each other. And she ends up bringing someone else. But anyway, it ends up being this beautiful meeting of alignment and growth. And I did not know or work closely with any of these people, but it was this quote that I saw yesterday that I shared with them. It was like, what's truly aligned, you won't have to, I wish I had the screenshot. I have to pull it up because it was just so simple, but basically saying what's aligned, you won't have to question it because it's that much in alignment. If you have to question it or have too many doubts, then it may not be it. But I just felt so at peace with how these amazing random people came together and was like, I believe in you. We have the same values. I have the same goal. I'm willing to lean in as much as possible. And we're all in different industries, but still seeking to serve and coach and lead people. So I say that to say, I pray about it and I continue to do my own internal work. And I think as women, we just have to continue to nurture and lean into that spiritual discernment.
Yeah.
And trust it.
I agreed. And there's no coincidences. So when things are super it just sort of happens naturally. I think force negates. And the moment that I feel myself forcing, okay, this isn't it.
And shift the mind to say it actually can be that easy.
Totally. Yeah.
Because we're like, this is too easy. You try to question things that are too easy. And it's like,
and sometimes the synchronicities are super fun. Last night I was at dinner and I was meeting two of the women for the first time yesterday, and they were at an event that I was at. And the one woman came, she was a little bit late. We sat down and she started talking about what she does here in Houston. She's like, I've got to get you to come back and speak at this event for women. And we were talking and found all these aligned similarities in our lives. And she's in a totally different industry than I am. And then at the end of the dinner, the server brought a cake and it said, happy birthday. I said, oh, when's your birthday? Oh, first of all, her name's also Danielle. So, and then the server brought a cake and I said, oh, when's your birthday? And she said, Halloween. And I said, that's my birthday. And she's like, no. And after we just had all of these connections through the conversation, she didn't believe me. She's like, I want to see your license. It's too much.
Yeah.
It's such a great example of how things can just flow. And it was simple and easy. And we found all these ways that we can connect later. Whereas when, people, we got to trust when people do the opposite and they fall off, when according to your prayer and they're no longer aligned, even if they were once aligned, trusting that as long as you're in the energy of your goal achieved self, you're next level, you're fully in integrity with your purpose, then the right people are being attracted, the right opportunities, and everything else is just not the time for it. And it doesn't mean those people won't circle back.
Yeah.
At some point they could.
Yeah.
And that part's not up to you.
And then it's the acceptance phase of actually accepting that. And I can say too, as we're speaking to women that are doing the hard thing, doing the
Mhm.
brave thing, and us building community and seeking that community. Sad, sadly is not the word, but the truth is our vulnerability
Mhm.
is what's going to help fuel that
And connect
and
us.
connect us.
Yeah.
Because the only reason that conversation took place was because that one specific woman was like, well, I'll be honest, like I just hosted this 5-day challenge and these are the challenges that I had with it. This is what went well, this is what
Mhm.
didn't go well. And so she was just being honest about what she was going through. And then we were like, still, like, at least you did it. I need to do a challenge,
Yeah.
So it was just like her deciding to be courageous and share that. But also she felt safe to do so.
Mhm.
So, you like being okay to be vulnerable in the spaces where you feel safe,
Mm.
like be courageous and do that because you never know who else is like going through that thing and
Yeah.
how you guys can like grow through that thing together.
Yeah, I think that's so important for us as women as well moving forward because that paradigm, like there's so many sisterhood wounds that get to be
Hmm.
healed
Yeah.
for us. And I think it's like mandatory as we step into a bigger leadership role for
Yeah.
this like new, new earth that we're experiencing.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I'm very excited and thank you for being here. I have 3 questions that I ask every guest
Okay. I'm here for it.
and they're rapid fire, so I'm going to go for it.
Okay.
All right, yeah. Any last words before I give you the questions that you'd like our listeners to know about you, what's coming up, or
Yes. So I'm in the process of finishing my certification in generative AI.
okay.
With the speed of technology, I was like, I need to know the inner workings of how this works and how it's about to impact the world and like for me to have the skill set and language to be able to be in these rooms to design solutions as well. That was my first intention. Then my second intention was to educate. And so as a little educational tip right now, as we're in this conversation around purpose, identity, being intentional, and pausing,
Mhm.
you have to do it twice as much now because we can get on ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude AI, put in all these ideas, but if you're not clear on your purpose, you're not clear on your identity, you're not leaning into the pause, and yes, it's a thought partner, but you have to use your discernment to know like what's for you. And so I
Totally.
do want to say that I am a resource when it comes to balancing your identity in this digital age and seeking to develop plans that are sustainable because this isn't the time to like do something to like, I mean, it was never a time to get rich quick, but I know that
Mhm.
used to be like a theme, but
Mhm.
it's like, please don't subscribe to, I know people are selling fast. You can do these things fast, but truly think about what's going to be sustainable. So that would be something I would want to let them know when it comes to purpose, identity, that intersection of leadership, strategy, and tech is where I'm at.
I'm curious to see what you think about this. Like, I've noticed with AI that it lies to you.
Mhm.
And it and we've done some experiments with,
It hallucinates and like does all this
well,
stuff.
it tells you what you want to hear and it can find data because it's like Googling. How much do we believe Google? Like,
Yeah.
just because Google says it's true
Yeah.
and, other research things. And not myself personally, but I was involved in a mastermind where some of the leaders were doing some research where they were asking AI different questions.
Mhm.
And depending on the source, like who was using it previously, the answers were different. And it
Mhm.
was supposed to be fact finding.
Mhm.
So it's telling you what you want to hear or you
Yeah.
need to hear for the way you've been using it in the past. That blew my mind
Mhm.
because people are using it as their, and I saw one of your posts about like who's like as their God in some
Mhm.
cases,
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
that, like, I'm like,
Yeah.
like,
So it's two things. It's one on how the model is trained.
yeah.
And the second thing is the actual prompt engineering and how you're developing the prompts. Like I've developed at this point like 10 different custom GPTs. I've
Mhm.
helped some businesses, but more so like really my friends and family.
Mhm.
Develop it in a way to where it's helping them solve whatever problems they're seeking to solve. So for instance, I have David, he's my COO.
Mhm.
and I have given him certain artifacts. I have developed his instructions of, I want you to be thorough. I want you to give me pros and cons. I want you to understand that I'm the economy that I'm in, and unless you know what data to give it, depending on the data you give it will determine the output.
And also, I think restricting where it's getting its data,
And
not
yes.
allowing it to find it from anywhere.
Yeah, and you can be
Which is what we
specific
found.
in
Yeah.
those instructions, but
Mhm.
most people are not trained on how to use this thing, just like, people promote an app like an Instagram. It's like, okay, looks like I come on here and post pictures,
Yeah.
not knowing like there's a big business around Instagram. So it's just based on, that's why I say you have to pause and be like, what's the reason that I'm using this tool?
Yeah.
And am I confident in utilizing it?
Yeah.
This is not the time to skip the tutorial video.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to read the terms and conditions.
Yeah.
That season's over. You really got to take the time before you hit accept.
Yeah. And then use discernment to your point
Yeah.
previously. Yeah, it's good. Cool. Okay, let's go into our question.
Yes.
All right. Abundance in one word. Go.
Abundance in one word. God.
Good. Okay, so you're on the Mystic Millionaire podcast, and we talk a lot about money, and often women have indulgences, but there's guilt that comes with it. I want to know your guilt-free ways of pausing, perhaps, and indulging so that you stay in your prosperous millionaire mindset.
Yes. Well, my self-care budget is non-negotiable.
Love it.
And that includes my lifetime membership, which is like my athletic country club. So I'll go to my fitness class, I'll get on the massager, I'll do the steam room, I'll do the spa, I chill by the cabana, by the pool. And they can take my $300 every month.
That's amazing.
Because of that. $300 for a gym membership? I'm like, it's about the lifestyle. Now, if you're not going to actually utilize all the features, it may not make that much sense to you. You may, a $30 membership may make sense for you. But for me, I want all the bells and whistles.
Yeah.
And so that is.
And it sounds like it's an amazing environment.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yes. Environment is so important. So that's one of my indulgences. And then honestly, I would probably say after that, I mean, it's the beauty appointments. It's the lashes. It's the nails. So self-care, yeah, that is just, it's a non-negotiable because I need to feel good.
Yeah.
I need to feel good. And who's going to take better care of me than me?
I've met so many women in my career who feel that self-care is selfish.
God
So
bless
that's
them.
like, yeah, let's erase that.
Yeah. Because I think too, I mean, I had to evolve into this, right? So it's not like, I mean, yeah, my mom, she had skincare products and stuff like that, but I'm not talking about skincare. I'm talking about self-care and what that looks like for me.
And like to go back to a previous point, pausing, like giving yourself permission to like do nothing, but sit in that massage chair or have a massage or sit by the pool and actually be worthy of that time for yourself.
Yes.
Okay, third question.
Okay.
You have only one book that you can read for the rest of your life over and over again. What book is that?
Default, I'll say the Bible. Secondary would be, I have to throw two in there. The Essentialist, The Disciplined Pursuit of Less by Greg McKeown.
Okay, I don't know that book.
Oh my God. It literally talks about the life of being an essentialist.
Okay.
And, the subline, The Disciplined Pursuit of Less, it just strips away this need for more. And it talks to the decision fatigue. It talks to all these things. And it's like, I didn't even know the word priority. There used to not be a plural version of priority.
That's interesting.
Like not until it came over here to America. Okay.
Yeah.
Before then, priority was a priority. Priorities was something that just got created. But it blessed my life in so many ways of just looking at some of the chaos that we live in. And most of it is self-inflicted. So a lot of it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, that disciplined pursuit of less, that is something I would continuously read.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
I selfishly put that question in because I love reading and love books. So, thank you for that.
You're going to enjoy that.
Thank you, Precious, for being with us today and blessing our audience and on the Mystic Millionaire podcast.
Well, you were such a joy, and I'm
Thank
just
you.
grateful for this opportunity. I'm grateful for your team, and just thank you for having this platform and continuously shifting our mindsets and holding us accountable to the highest version of ourselves.
Thank you. Many more to come.
Yes.